My day of birth is the memory for my family of losing my dad. Tragically, on my 12th birthday, I found him dying of a heart attack.
12 years old.
Yeah. I was angry with death.
Yeah.
So I put myself in situations which confronted it.
Yeah.
You can't take any more from me.
Dr Emma Offord, I just think you're lovely. And I feel like what you're putting out into the universe isn't just the words.
Mm-hmm.
It's something more than that. Being called a disruptor and,
Yeah.
a problem. Me too. When I write to a GP on behalf of a client,
Mm-hmm.
I will get back, well, what do you know?
Yeah.
Anyone that knows me knows I'll say with respect.
Yeah.
With respect, what do you know?
The power that you're given as a therapist.
Yeah.
I think it's our responsibility
Yeah, I do.
to use that wisely and
Yeah.
for others. That is such a privilege to be a part of that
Such a
work.
privilege. Do you see why I love her, everybody? She's so lovable.
I think naturally I do feel awkward around compliments just
Yeah.
as me, but
No, I used to feel like that with compliments. I don't anymore.
Yeah.
I welcome them. In fact, I manipulate them. I don't care. I've done the self-hatred. That chapter's finished. New book, new title. Give me all the compliments. I try to be classy, but really, classy and me don't go together. Hi, and welcome to The New Mind. Now, before we go into today's episode, I just want to ask you a big favour. Please subscribe because it really supports the channel to grow and it allows me to continue to get amazing guests and to share these incredible life stories with you. The truth is, I learn something from every single guest and I know you will too. So hit that subscribe button and make me very, very happy. Thank you so much for supporting me. I appreciate you all. Now enjoy the episode. Right, we start off giggling because that's how we roll. I've got the lovely Dr Emma Offord on here. Now, Emma, for me, and I know this is really uncomfortable for you, so I'm going to try and be gentle, but I'd seen some of your work and we followed each other on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
You'd been on a podcast that I was then later on, and I think that's the first time I saw you on the We Are Not Your Typical podcast.
yeah.
And I saw you and there was like an immediate, for me anyway, like
Mm-hmm.
I know this woman. I didn't know you, but I just felt like I knew you.
Yeah.
And you were talking about neurodivergence in kids at the time. And I kind of liked your energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I followed and you followed back. And then what I noticed about you was that you were really, really kind. And every time you left a comment on something that I'd done, you were just so lovely. And I just thought, she's really lovely. So I was looking more and more at your stuff and realised that as a doctor, there was a lot of content that was around the work that you do. But I was really intrigued about who you are and what you do because I felt there was lots of synchronicities, but I couldn't put my finger on it because I didn't know anything about you.
Yeah.
And so several months later, I reached out to you to ask you to come on because I just think you're lovely. I just think you're really lovely. You talk a lot about neurodivergence in kids, obviously, but I know that everyone has a story and there's something soulful about you and there's something really, really powerful in the sense that I feel like you get, well, you've told me you get energy. Energy is really important.
Yeah.
And I feel like what you're putting out into the universe isn't just the words. It's something more than that. And as we've spoken a bit today, I'm going to try and stop talking a minute because no one's actually heard your voice yet. As we've been talking today, I found out more about your story, your personal story, which is both heartbreaking and just amazing that you are the woman that you are, which is so often the case with pain in people's lives. So I guess I want to introduce you first, as I've said that you're a doctor, but what is it that you do? And then we'll go into your story.
So, what I do is I'm a clinical psychologist and I run a service advocating for neurodivergent people through a trauma lens. And we do assessment, we offer coaching and therapy. But I think one of the main kind of directions of what we do is to be neuroaffirming, to be really respectful of each and every individual's unique neurobiology.
Yeah.
And so that means advocating for that unique person, but it also means trying to disrupt stereotypes, narratives that don't serve people, highlight flaws in the medical model so that people can feel that they have a different option, they have a different path. So yeah, it's very passionate work around, human rights movement, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that gives you an insight into the way Emma operates as a doctor, which is outside of the box, but in a way that is so loving, so kind, and as you said, affirming for the individual. And that then leans into, why was that so important to you to become that person for other people?
I mean, there's a whole history behind that. In the short term, once I understood that certain systems were traumatizing people, such as some therapeutic models, some therapy services, physical health services, schools, places that are meant to be safe, that we are told are safe, were not safe for people, and in particular, maybe neurodivergent people is who I was seeing as not feeling safe in these systems. Once I saw that trauma, I couldn't be an inactive bystander. I had to do something about it, and I couldn't unsee it. And that's how I've lived my life, really, that social justice is a huge component of who I am. And once I see something unjust or harmful, then I have to do something about it. And so, yeah, I responded to that, in creating Divergent Life, to create somewhere safe for people, but also to be the voice for people who maybe don't feel they can speak up for themselves, and to show people that you can say these things, you can do things differently. You
can use your voice.
Exactly.
So many people are so repressed and suppressed in their voice, aren't they?
Yeah.
Trauma is one of those things where people are taught to abide by the rules and to fit into a box. And again, it can be trauma because you've gone through various different things in your life, or it can be trauma because you do and are different. You do feel different, you are different. So using the voice is so powerful in so many ways. And as therapists and doctors, we're told to fit into a box ourselves and not use our voice and not be open about who we are, and really be careful about who we're upsetting and what we're saying. And that has been somewhat an experience for you as well, hasn't it? That you've at times been told that you're creating waves in a negative way.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that like, to be told that when you're actually really you're so passionate about advocating for the people? What's it like to be told to dumb down, if you like?
It's so many things. It's definitely lonely. When I worked in the NHS and in some of these systems that didn't feel safe, aren't safe for many people, I would try to gently even say what my opinion was, what I was seeing, how I thought we could do things differently. And really the kind of energy that I received back, how I felt people saw me, was somebody who was reckless and irresponsible, because there's guidelines, there's protocols. It's a very kind of defensive practice of don't do anything outside of those boxes because you could harm somebody. And so you are seen as reckless and irresponsible if you step outside of those boundaries. But they're not questioning the boundaries, not questioning those protocols. And that's my issue. Like, I understand protection is really important for people. But if the very protection systems you've got in place are doing the harm, you need to question those. So, yeah.
It really upsets me when I hear that, because it's such a form of gaslighting. Don't go outside the lines because you're going to harm people.
Exactly.
And actually, as you've said there, and I've seen this, and I've worked in private practice in psychotherapy from the beginning, really, after working for the NHS before psychotherapy. And I know that it's more harmful to keep people in a box and keep them tethered to a narrative that suits everybody else, rather than helping them to understand who they are as an individual. Now, I always say, I love the Eastern philosophies because it's very much about the collective. But I think what we can do, and this is what I try to do, is see the individual and blend them into the collective. Let them find their space in the collective, rather than telling them what that is. Let them find that. And if you look at the education system or the medical system, it says, well, this is the collective and this is what you have to do. But it doesn't even begin to look at the individual. And of course, for you, having got your own history, which we will delve into, I think you must have known what it felt like to be locked in. And so maybe that was the catalyst for seeing beyond the boundaries and beyond the protocols.
Yeah, I felt what people were experiencing.
Yeah.
Viscerally, I can't say that I knew their whole experience, but, I could feel what was happening to them, and I could feel the gaslighting for them, and, the conformity that a lot of, in the NHS, people are called patients, but people, the compliance that these people were having to conform to so that they could be treated well, so that they could be not seen as, a disruptive patient or somebody, that was too anxious, or, labels would also be given to people who were trying to ask for something different. So they're forced into this compliant role. Their needs aren't being met, and they kind of take the scraps of what they're given and walk away feeling like there's something. Yeah, exactly.
It's heartbreaking, actually, because as you're saying that, I've got like the archives of my brain are going through all the different people that I know have been dismissed and minimised and basically bullied by the very system that's supposed to help them. Yeah, be that they've got physical disabilities or acute traumas, or even myself, I was thinking then, I remember just round the corner at one of the doctor's surgeries, I'd got this really bad rash. And I've always had skin issues, without going into too much details. I'm a very cysty person. Yeah. But I've always had really dry, sore skin. And particularly when I was stressed, the inflammation came out through my skin. Yeah. And I just got these horrible rashes on my arms, and the person that I was talking to, who I believe, because to my recollection was a GP, could have been a nurse, but it was someone in that surgery. Well, we think you're self-harming. Now, at the time I was, but I was also very open about that. Yeah. And they were accusing me of putting cigarettes out on my skin, and I was like, I'm not doing that. There's something wrong with my skin. Yeah. I would tell you if I was doing that. I was probably about 15 at the time. And I remember going to the reception afterwards and just saying, I want to make a complaint. And they did everything they could to stop me, because I was a kid and I was angry. And it was probably one of the last times I ever went back to that doctor's, because before that there'd been other things that had been said, and they were also, my GP was my dad's GP, and it was all very wrong. And I just felt completely like, these people aren't going to help me. And I went downhill from there. Yeah. Really downhill, because I just thought, nobody cares. Yeah. And if you need support, and say you're an adult and you've been going through this process for 10 years, I mean, people must be going absolutely mad out there, feeling like they're completely alone.
Yeah, and they're vulnerable. They come to you vulnerable. Yeah, whether it's physical or psychological, and you're that powerful person. Yeah, who holds the gate towards whatever kind of treatment that you might need. So, I think it's that imbalance between being so vulnerable and having this kind of powerful other who holds a really strong opinion on you. Like, I used to always say when I was in the NHS, like, do you want to see your notes? Because these are your words. This is who you are. Because I would see people write their opinions about other people in those notes. And those notes are for anyone to see at any point in that person's medical journey. Yeah. So I would always get their approval and say, do you consent to me writing this? Because this is your story. And people were so shocked that I would do that.
So rare.
Yeah. So, I think it's just such unquestioned relationship, isn't it? That.
Do you see why I love her, everybody? You are so amazing, honestly, because there's so few people out there like you. And as you say, you've been called a disruptor and, a problem in not so many words, obviously. Me too. When I write to a GP on behalf of a client who's on the wrong I know they're on the wrong medication. I'm not a prescriber, but I know they are. I will get back, well, what do you know? Yeah. And I'm like, well, I'm going to reverse that question back to you. What do you know? Because this person is on the wrong medication. And this is my advice. This is based on working with them intensely on this particular issue. Yeah. And with 20 years of experience, and anyone that knows me knows I'll say with respect,
Yeah.
with respect. 20 years of experience tells me
Yeah.
that I know that there's something not right about this medication.
Yeah.
Please, will you review it? And I just think it's such a narcissistic space, isn't it?
It is. And like that I relate to some of the work I do now when I talk to schools and I say that this child is experiencing trauma.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you are an abuser in that kind of trauma abuser sense.
Yes.
But that environment and the way it's structured is causing trauma in that person's body.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're seeing is a trauma response. And then the rules of school are further traumatizing for that person because of the response. Their trauma response isn't being seen and validated and tended to. It's being like further escalated.
Yeah.
And it's rejected.
Yes.
Me saying that, I'm being told that school trauma doesn't exist, that this is not trauma that's happening. And the fight that you have to convince people and explain that this is actually a thing.
Yeah.
And people don't believe it. People resist it. People are defensive against it. People try to discredit you because you're saying these things. Like that is one of the hardest things as well.
Yeah.
Because it makes you feel very anxious and it's quite traumatic.
And you do question yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's designed to do that.
Yeah.
I've been there many, many times. Is it me? And it's good to do that. It's obviously good to check in with yourself and just be mindful. Am I just, a bit of a tyrant here?
Yeah.
Or have I got a point? It's really good to do that. So I would always say to any professional that's at the beginning of the journey of fighting the good fight is that you should question yourself, but you should also be informed. And I always say, as long as your intention is good for the client, patient, person, then that's the most important thing. It's okay to get it wrong as long as your intention is right.
Exactly.
And I think with you, what I'm hearing and seeing is that your intention is to support and empower people. And actually, in doing that, you improve systems.
Yeah.
Because the narrative slowly but surely starts to change.
Yeah.
And to be integral in that, which you are, you talk about this often, is so important because it's the only way that change ever happens. And, it collectively matters that people have this conversation.
It does. And, how I check myself and my work is so much of what I do is co-constructed with whoever I work with.
Yes.
Like I said about, do you want to read your notes? Do you get to see any report and have your say about anything I've written about you before it goes anywhere?
Same here. I send it all on to them. Every client will get their notes at the end, to the point where I'm working harder than I should in many ways, but it's so that they've always got clarity and the ability. And I always say, if you don't agree with me, chip in, because I don't know it all. It's so important we're so aligned. We've spoken off camera today, and I know this is not of any interest to anyone else, but there's so many weird synchronicities between us, isn't there?
There is.
I love it. It excites me, this sort of stuff. So we know that you're a soldier. You're out there on the front lines doing the good work, like I said, and you are profoundly educated on what you're talking about as well. This isn't just somebody that's read a book and decided to go on podcasts and talk about it. In fact, I reached out to you. You're not out there going, please, can I come and talk about myself? You were invited because I just saw depth to the soul, and I felt like the energy was different. There are some amazing women and doctors out there and therapists out there, by the way. I'm not trying to suggest that there's few and far between, because there's many amazing women as coaches and therapists and doctors. But I like to showcase the likes of you, because I think a lot of people still think that all therapists are just going to sit there and nod with a clipboard and write things down and then see ya. And actually, that's not the case. There's a lot of love out there in this field, as well as a lot of sort of practices that probably should change.
Yeah, and I've always respected the power that you're given as a therapist. Yeah. And that it's not my power to own in that sense, but can I put it to use? Yes, I can. I can advocate for people, because some people might listen to me more because I'm a doctor or because I've earned these qualifications. I'm not saying I'm any better or able to speak, more, eloquently or more, represent people better than they can represent themselves. But people will sometimes just listen for that role that you have. And I think it's our responsibility. Yeah, I do. To use that wisely and for others.
Yeah, for sure. As long as it comes from that place, which it definitely does with you. I can feel that. Before we move on to your story, if there's anyone out there that's going through a trauma or some kind of, they feel like they've got ADHD or autism or a bit of everything, and they're struggling with their own children or themselves, what's something that they can do to support themselves in a way that, I don't want to say gets them heard, because that's sometimes impossible no matter how much language you use and which approach. But what advice would you give someone that's at the beginning of that journey of trying to find their way out of a bit of a problem?
So I'm such a believer in self-identification, and that, yes, the diagnosis can help people ask for accommodations in school or at work and things like that. But there's nothing stopping anybody from learning about their neurobiology and their trauma experience themselves and putting that to use straight away or to help their child. So, I would also suggest they look more at the neurodiversity movement, which is a human rights movement. And so there is a lot more safety, I think, than perhaps, looking up certain diagnoses and trying to self-diagnose. Actually learn about your neurobiology, learn about your traits, your sensory profile. You can pick up a book about sensory profiling and read that and learn about yourself. So don't wait for somebody to come with their clipboard and to kind of tick
the box.
Yeah, don't wait for that. You get started, believe in yourself, and that's good enough. And that's what I would tell people to do.
Oh God, I love this so far. We're only just touching the surface, but that's such good advice. Such good advice, because one thing I always say is the Equality Act as well. If someone's presented with mental health issues, so it could be because of neurodiversity, trauma, whatever, for over 12 months, it's classed as a disability in the Equality Act. So I say, if in doubt, get yourself onto Google. Find the Equality Act UK. Quote that in any emails or letters to the school, and they will listen. It's sometimes you've got to go there. And I've done that many times.
It's a standard thing in my reports.
Absolutely.
To put that in there.
So if you are advocating, always go to that, I think. But all in all, you're absolutely right. I think, the label, it is a framework that allows us to work within. But, there's a girl I'm working with at the minute, just to finish that bit off. She's incredibly neurodiverse. And I don't mean to be offensive when I say that, but she knows she's also incredibly intelligent, incredibly funny. She's 13, but I feel like she's like a woman from the 70s. She's got such a funny sense of humor. She's brilliant. She does not fit into the school system. And I've been working with a mum, and her mum said, can I bring her along? I said, yeah, sure, bring her in. She's brilliant. I just think she's fantastic. The school do not agree with me because she doesn't tick the boxes. Now, I'm not blaming the teachers, I'm blaming the system when I say this. I mean, she's riddled with autism and ADHD. And what I mean by that is, if you looked at the symptoms you would see them all. And she knows it. She's not, she hasn't got a problem with that. And I've been saying, I've written a letter to the school, particularly it was about a blazer. She didn't want to wear the blazer, the sensory issues around that. She was more than happy to wear a t-shirt, the PE t-shirt that's got the logo on, because that's their argument. It needs to have the logo on. It doesn't matter. She's not in normal classes within the school, classes within the school anyway. She's in the unit for people that have got additional needs. So it's not like she has to blend in. And they weren't paying any attention to the letters. Anyway, the family have gone private for the EACP report, and the woman has literally said, after spending 1 hour with her, this should have been done 2 years ago. I don't know how she's been missed. She shouldn't be in a mainstream school. They cannot meet her needs. And it was like, why have the parents and myself had to have this back and forth with the school? And I don't mean to be rude when I say this, and I think people will understand. It is obvious this child doesn't fit in. Stop trying to make them fit in. It makes no sense. And you do have to go through the mother's written back an email about something 3 or 4 times about this blazer. And she said to me just yesterday, she went, they're making me go to a meeting on Tuesday about this. Me and my husband have got to go on Tuesday. And I said, to go back and say to them, I'm not willing to come to this meeting. I've said all there is to say. If you as a school wish to take further action, I will take counter action. But I've said what I've said. End of story as far as I'm concerned. You don't have to go to the meeting. She was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. So I'm helping her to write that email. But I just think, what is wrong with the school? But can we please just have another conversation about a flipping blazer?
I hear exactly what you're saying, and time and time again that happens. And these parents are exhausted.
Yeah, they
their
absolutely
energy
are.
should be with their kids.
Absolutely.
And helping this vulnerable person thrive,
Yeah.
not wasting everybody's time having the same conversation about something that actually doesn't matter.
You're so right. This woman is literally at the point of, well, you would have called it a nervous breakdown a few years ago. She's in that state now because it's been such a battle. And obviously there's other life events around that. But I've said to her, right, we need an email to the school and I'm writing a letter to your GP. You need to get signed off work. You are absolutely at the point of extreme burnout now. And it's so unfair.
Yeah.
It's so unfair.
And
it makes me so angry. It's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
And there's people out there, I mean, we walk, and this is the reason for the podcast originally, you walk past people in the street, you've got no idea what's going on in their lives. We walk past each other, we bump into each other, we could be a bit aggy with each other, we don't see each other anymore. And yet there's all these amazing human beings out there fighting for things that is just a waste of everybody's time, as you say. So, yeah, it infuriates me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And there you are with your beautiful voice, so soft, so kind, doing this beautiful work. It matters so much.
Yeah.
It really matters that you're doing that work. Like, it matters so much.
And like when I speak to the parents, doing what you've just described, I'm going to help write that letter. I'm going to speak to the school and support you and advocate with you. You know, the connection that you have with those parents and that child, and, you know, just for someone to see them and respond to them and tend to their needs in a way that feels safe.
Yeah.
Like it's a beautiful experience. I wish it didn't have to happen. I wish we didn't have to do that on behalf of people. But, you know, that is such a privilege to be a part of that work. Such a
privilege. Oh, God, I love you. I do. I do, because I'm often around people that are different in their approach, and so it's so freeing to be with someone that is reflecting. You know, it's lovely. It's lovely. But let's talk about your experiences, if you will, because there's some pain there as well, which is often the way. You see some of the most beautiful, magical souls have gone through so much of their own pain and they turn it into something so beautiful. They grow their butterfly wings. They go out there beautifully flitting around, doing their thing. And I just think we need to celebrate that more, because people that are going through pain right now, they may not see the light, if you like, at the end of the tunnel. And even when there's light at the end of the tunnel, life is a mixture of light and dark, and it's important to remember that there's always power within that if you're willing to go there. And that's why I wanted to invite you on, because I could see there was lots of synchronicities and lots of similarities in the way that we thought, lots of differences as well, which is just as beautiful. And I knew there would be something powerful with your story. So let's take you all the way back to, there's a moment in all of our lives when we split from ourselves and we become fragmented. And that is the case for everybody, in my opinion. There's variants of it, and we're all on a spectrum somewhere. But your story, talking to you today, is really quite painful. And, you know, I don't know what's wrong with me at the minute, because for the last 4 or 5 episodes I've recorded, I've ended up welling up. I've got a feeling I'm going to do it. I know the story, but I've got a feeling I'm going to do it again. I don't know what's happening to my hormones, but I'm getting much more cryy. So forgive me if I start to well up. Don't worry, I'll be fine. It's more you that I'm worried about, actually, because this is probably the first time you're speaking about this on publicly, I guess, on camera. So start where you're comfortable to start.
So let's start with what I have spoke about before, which is I was born in Canada, and for various different reasons, my parents thought it was a really good idea to move constantly. And so I went to 14 different schools before I was 12.
Wow.
And mainly across Canada, but occasionally in England. And when we travelled, especially when we went back from Canada to England and back again, we didn't fly. My mum was always anxious about flying, refused to fly. And so we would go on cruise ships. And there wasn't a direct route. So we would go England to Rotterdam, then to Gdansk in Poland, then back to Rotterdam, then to Quebec, and then we drive across Canada. So the amount of schooling I missed was incredible.
Wow.
So for a start, that I thought that's what everybody was doing.
Yeah, I bet you did.
I didn't realise, because I never stayed anywhere long enough to really find out
Yes.
that people just stay.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I lost my father and we did finally stay still that I started to realise this childhood that I'd had of constantly moving around and meeting new people and being the new girl and having a different accent and having another accent and, you know, trying to fit in and get to know people. So like that's a place to start. But
I mean, that in itself is just a lot, isn't it? Because you're not grounded.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a sense of,
Yeah.
I can't get too used to this, I suppose. I can't stay.
Yeah.
So I'll never attach fully.
Yeah, there's definitely some of that. And, you know, a lot of people say I've worked with maybe like as mentors or supervisors or in my own therapy have kind of always said to me, oh, that must have been really hard. And I say, no, it was really hard when we stopped.
Yeah, because that's the bit you weren't used to.
Yeah, and I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to be attached, grounded rooted in one place, building relationships like that. For me, it was like, hi, off we go, bye. And just like,
lovely to meet you.
Yeah, that was, you know, my developmental years were built around that.
I'm surprised you didn't become an air hostess. I mean, that would have been very familiar, wouldn't it? Just, where am I? Oh, yes. Okay. Hi, bye.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, again, what's normal? There's no such thing, is there? Because it's just whatever your body is familiar with.
Yeah. And my constants at the time were my mum and my dad.
Yeah.
And then my brother, who's 9 years younger than me. So they were my roots. So further kind of thinking about my story is when I lost my dad.
Yeah.
You know, I lost one of my roots, my one and only. And I was very close to my dad. He was very physically unwell before I was born. And so he looked after me while my mum went to work, because he couldn't work a lot of the time. He did occasionally, but often he was having heart surgery or, you know, in recovery. So he would spend a lot of time with me. And then tragically, on my birthday, on my 12th birthday, I just heard some very strange noises and found him dying of a heart attack.
You're only 12 years old.
Yeah. And it's crystal clear. You know, when we talk about trauma and that reliving, like it's no amount of therapy I've ever had. And I don't want to lose that, because that was my time with him.
It's a really important point. Yeah.
So it's not about that being re-traumatizing when I think about it. It's my connection to him. Yeah. And there's a lot of sadness. And I feel her. I feel that 12-year-old. Every time I go back to that memory, I'm there again.
Yeah.
But it is still my thread of connection to him as well.
I mean, you said earlier that obviously you were trying to save him. And we know obviously your dad ended up dying. Yeah. And it was several days later, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So on your birthday, you find him dying. Yeah. You do everything you can to try and save him. But sadly, he died anyway. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's difficult for anyone to describe that feeling. Mm-hmm. But for you, what came along with that? Because obviously I would imagine, being the one that found him, there was a sense of responsibility. But I don't want to put words into your mouth. So talk me through the different things that go through your mind and the things that stay with you because of that experience. Yeah, it became my responsibility that it was my fault. And I even remember asking the doctors when my dad was on different machinery trying to keep him alive. I remember saying to the doctor, is it my fault? And he said, there was nothing you could have done. You couldn't have got there any sooner. That did not change or shift anything, that it was still somehow my fault. And, you know, I feel like I messed around. I feel like I didn't get there in time. I didn't shout loud enough for help, all these kinds of things. I could have done more. I could have got there earlier when I heard the noises that he was making. So that was a huge shift. I'd gone from this very sort of bubble
of me, my mum and my dad and then my brother, and just traveling around and just being in our bubble, doing our own thing, to just being completely shattered.
Yeah.
And my mom was in so much grief for so many years. And what so many people did then was just to prescribe her Prozac and diazepam and these knockout drugs so that she was, dissociated from herself and therefore others. So, she wasn't really that available. So it is at that time where I really feel like I splintered off from myself, from the world, almost that I was dragged back into the world as well, because I was no longer in my bubble. I was like part of the messy, trauma of life. Just, landed in my life so abruptly and so in such a nuclear way. So yeah, I carried that it's my fault. I did this. I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
I'm a selfish person. All of this came crashing down on me. And I would say I just dissociated quite a lot of the time. I was not in my body, not in myself. I'd always really enjoyed taking risks anyway. And so, I'd learned to ski by just putting the skis on and just throwing myself down a mountain, forget the lessons, things like that.
I love that. Very bombastic.
Yeah. And then I took it to another level, or my trauma did.
Yeah.
My body just went where it knew home.
Yes.
Which was fight.
Yeah.
So I remember being at my dad's funeral, refusing to wear black, wearing pink, and then saying, I'm not going to stand at the front. And I stood at the back, and my uncle stood with me actually while everyone else went to the front.
Wow.
And I just couldn't even engage with it on a funeral level, like he's not here level.
Yes.
I really just was armoured up. I'm going to just do life how I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to home, which is fight. And I'm just going to, and that's what I did over and over again.
I mean, that's really sad, isn't it? Is that when you think about that 12-year-old, she's gone through an enormous amount already with trying to save him, the days that follow, will he live, will he die, that suspended state of what's going to happen next. Then looking at your little brother and I guess seeing that your mum's not coping, so there's more responsibility there as well, actually, I'd imagine, as an older sister.
Yeah.
That parentified daughter starts to emerge.
Yeah.
And then having to say goodbye in a funeral in front of a room full of people. There's no privacy within that.
No.
There's no ability to just I don't want to have a funeral, by the way. Just on that note. And when I was unable to go to my best friend's funeral when she died because I was so poorly. And in a way I feel intense guilt about not being able to be there, although I couldn't be there because I was very, very poorly. But I'm also kind of glad that I didn't have to say goodbye in that way to her. In a way, I think she's more alive because I didn't go.
Yeah.
So I'm only saying that to relate it to what you've just said.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was that sense of I just don't want to do it this way.
Completely. And I wanted to keep him alive. That's what I was doing. The only time I cried publicly really about my dad was at that funeral when they brought his coffin, and I was confronted with the coffin, and so I couldn't not.
That's a trauma in itself.
Yeah, it was, and I remember that vividly. But after that, I didn't cry in front of anybody. I would cry at night.
Yeah,
when everyone was asleep. Yeah, and it was almost like I was ashamed of crying too, and I didn't have words attached to that. It was just a sense of shame, that tears are shameful, and I also didn't want to invite anybody in to give me emotion. It was like I just want to lock
private.
Out. Yeah,
it's private. I'm so on board with that. I don't want to let anybody in.
Yeah,
I think when you go through trauma, it feels like such a scary place to let people in. Going back to our conversation about the work that we do, letting somebody in to the depths of your pain is the hardest thing to do. Because like you say, there is so much shame, guilt, anger, and other emotions that even now we would find that sometimes you find when you're labelling an emotion that it's almost fraudulent because it's not actually what it is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Completely.
Yeah.
And I also didn't want to invite in any physical contact. Like the thought of anybody putting their arm around me, and it's like just leave me alone. Like, I just wanted to be alone in my grief with my dad, almost. And I didn't want anybody in that with me. And a part of that. So I didn't invite in physical or emotional. I didn't share anything at all. Just held it.
Did that affect intimacy overall for you, do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
And maybe not so much with friendships, but I would say in kind of more romantic relationships, there's always been an element of back off.
Yeah.
And just finding, and I think the other thing that goes with that is I've had many relationships where wrongly men have said to me, I'll never be your dad, stop treating me like, and they couldn't be more wrong. Or they are right in that they could never be my dad. But I was
you
not
weren't thinking that.
I was not looking for a replacement ever. No one could replace him. You know, that was never the case. But to have that trauma turned against me like that, like that's
a knife.
It's a complete knife, but it made me even more armored up.
Yeah, of course it does.
Because like who are you to like take my trauma and use that against me?
That's disgusting.
It is, isn't it?
It is disgusting, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, and I'm glad you said that, because people will say things like that without any understanding of the damage that they're causing.
Yeah.
And that's where trauma is never just one event.
Yeah.
It keeps coming back in various different ways, projected onto you by people that don't know what they're talking about and that are careless and ill-informed and angry at the world themselves.
Yeah.
So they're projecting that onto you.
Yeah.
And that's so not right.
Exactly. And you know, it just strengthened it created more trauma, and it strengthened you know, the idea that sharing this is not safe.
Yes.
And that I had to protect my trauma, and therefore I couldn't have a voice about it a lot of the time.
And also, I'll let you into a point, but you're not getting in all the way because I can't trust you.
Yeah.
And I know that I've always done this alone.
Yeah.
So I don't need you there.
Yeah.
So, but then in some ways we become our own worst enemies by doing that.
Yeah.
But that's something to, I guess, for people listening that will go, you know, even if it's not directly linked, you wouldn't necessarily link we would, but a lot of people may not necessarily link the death of a parent early on with attachment issues in relationships later on, because you know, we don't talk about this stuff enough, even though we talk about it in therapy and we might read the odd post on Instagram. It's complex.
It is.
So complex.
And I was rewarded for being so strong. It's like, aren't you strong, Emma? And there, you know, there's a bit of relief.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that felt a bit safe. Like, okay, I can rely on myself because I can't rely on other people. They might die. They might hurt me. They might misunderstand me.
Yeah.
So, you know, that forms part of your relationships as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where you are this self-sufficient but self-abandoning human being. Because, you know, in that self-sufficiency, I'm really not looking after my needs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm really not aware that this is happening.
Yeah.
This is what's happening in my adolescent years.
I feel really sad for all the children and for you, the child that you were, that go through that. Because I'm going to try and articulate this. Death is almost seen as a one-dimensional thing. Especially in our culture. So we don't have tools, I don't think, in the Western world to deal with death very well. Yeah. We don't talk about death. I talk about death a lot, but we generally don't talk about death. We don't embrace it as part of the experience of life. I love Ram Dass's work on... Have you come across Ram Dass?
No.
So Ram Dass, for me, was a psychologist, was also gay. This is during the 1950s and 60s. And then went off on a bit of a psychedelic journey. Yeah. And yoga and meditation and all those things. So I can't remember what his name was originally. Please forgive me, everybody. But he became Ram Dass. And a lot of his work in his latter years was around death. He then had his own strokes and so became disabled as a result of that. And I discovered Ram Dass sometime before Susie, my best friend, was poorly. But he wrote a book called Walking Each Other Home. And Susie and I'd walk together to school and back every day.
Oh.
So there was just such a, like, it was calling me.
Yeah.
And it's all about the beauty of death, not and being able to sit with death. And I played the audiobook or parts of the audiobooks when she was in the hospice dying, because I felt it was so profoundly beautiful.
Yeah.
And it enabled me, and I hope Susie as well, although she wasn't verbal at that point, to be at peace with what was happening. I always think that death is really hard for the people left behind.
Yeah.
It's so hard for the people left behind. And so the narrative and the discussion around death, and that's why I say I think we view it as a one-dimensional thing. I see a lot of people that have lost people in their lives, and it's like within a year people forget that the grief is still as heavy as it was. It's sometimes heavier. It is. And it can come back like a black cloud at different parts of your life, can't it?
Yeah.
And to go back to the point that this happened on your birthday.
Yeah.
So whether you like it or not, there's a yearly reminder of that day.
Yeah.
And birthdays are seen as something to celebrate. And so explain that to me from your perspective.
So, yeah, from kind of September onwards, I have a trauma response comes alive in my body. And even though it's been so many years, it still takes me by surprise. I know it's coming.
Yeah.
But then it creeps up on me, and I'll probably just not be acting how I normally am, and everything is overwhelming. My senses are really heightened. So there's, a lot of kind of nervous system dysregulation taking place, subtly building up. But yeah, of course, celebrating that day, it just doesn't work in my head.
No.
And then what I did was I over celebrated sometimes. So just completely kind of, no tears on this day, and we'll just, really make a big deal of it kind of thing. Not me as center of attention, but just make a celebration for others, or just make a kind of, smoke and mirrors away from me on this day and from my own emotions. So,
showtime.
Yeah, showtime, exactly that.
Yeah.
And so that would happen a lot. And I would also get these experiences, especially when I was younger, that if anything went wrong, like the tiniest thing, I couldn't cope with it. Like if anything goes wrong on my birthday, it's like I can't. Like I've done things going wrong on my birthday. Come on, universe, like protect me on my birthday. So lots of a really strange relationship. And also it's my day of birth is the memory for my family of losing my dad. So my mom would become sad. My brother never really got to know my dad, but he would experience my mom becoming sad. And so there's a heaviness that came with my birthday. So it was kind of shackled from that.
And as a child, the heaviness on your birthday you associate, because you haven't got the ability yet to really be logical and analytical about this. The heaviness on your birthday, it feels personal.
Yeah.
Especially because you feel responsible for your dad's death.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember my first birthday after he died. So we left Canada and moved to the UK.
Which is another really important point to make. So Canada, which had been your home for most of your life, not only have you lost your mum because she's dissociated, you've become parental to your brother to some degree.
Yeah.
You've lost your dad. You're holding the responsibility. You're now losing your roots.
Yeah. And I loved Canada. I loved being there. And so we didn't have any money when we left Canada, and money was tied up, but also my mum was, a single mum now, with no income, and so we were homeless for a short amount of time. It was a short amount of time. I wouldn't want to compare myself to a longer term experience.
But it is what it is. You were homeless.
We had no kitchen. We had a bathroom and a bedroom, and we all had to sleep in that. And it was in my grandmother's elderly care home.
Oh wow!
So I come to the UK traumatized. And everyone's like, "Where do you live, Emma?" I'm like, "Just up the road in this elderly care home with my grandmother. You can't come round because there's nowhere for you to go. We've got no kitchen." So I've also felt humiliation too.
Yes.
Like I didn't have a proper family anymore. That felt also a bit kind of
Different.
Just different. And then there was the shame of like people saying, well, why are you living there? And then that was had to explain. And then I had to talk about my dad. And, I was being revealed because I had no other choice but to explain the situation. So we finally find a home, and then it's my first birthday. And I remember my mum was so traumatized. There was probably about 3 presents. She couldn't really put energy into it. And I just remember that feeling so deeply.
Of being abandoned.
Yeah, completely. Just on my own. This is, nothing. It felt like
nothing.
Yeah, a nothingness.
I mean, that's really sad because it's your grief as well.
Yeah.
But it's also your birthday, and as a child, everybody sees that birthday parties. What did you get? That's the narrative.
Yeah.
What shoes did you get? What presents did you get? What did you do? Who did you see? And you're like, that's not my story.
No, exactly. And
not to mention that your dad's no longer here as well.
Yeah, all of that, and seeing other people celebrate their birthday, and like just birthday becoming, this. Just transforming into something completely different and trying to,
Where do you feel that in your body when you retell that story?
It's usually here, and it's very held in tears. They very rarely come out.
Yeah.
Like I cried last night in preparation because that I might talk about this. So I got it out.
Yeah.
I might cry on the way home, but this instant shutting down happened.
Yeah, the dorsal vagal response.
Yeah. And but it's also a hollowness, like a slightly dissociative feeling of out of body.
Yes.
So I'm like empty.
Do you feel like it's somebody else's story as you tell it as well?
Yeah, I do. But I can visualize it.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I can see all of it. I can look down on me in it.
Yeah.
I can go back into my body and relive it to
you
some
become
degree.
the witness rather than the...
Yeah.
Which is fine at times, because that can be a really helpful standpoint to witness the pain rather than be the pain.
Yeah.
Which is what Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about, the pain body and becoming the witness. But it's also, and it's also your body protecting you. So thank you, body, thank you, nervous system.
Yeah.
But it's also hard sometimes because then you don't have as much compassion. And I know you'll go through periods of compassion, moments of compassion, but keeping consistent compassion for the child.
Yeah.
Because, of course, it's the shell around all of this is I'm selfish.
Yeah.
It's not really about me.
Yeah.
But why not? Why can't it be about you?
Yeah. That has been the theme of my life, is like no self-compassion. I mean, I can be kind to myself. I have been kind to myself. But really, when I think about it, no, I've not been that kind to myself. And I've not held that much compassion for what happened, that how deep that was. It was shrugging it off, armoring up, just get on with life. And telling myself I was doing that in his honour. He would not want me to cry. He would not want me to crumble. So I even gave it my dad's voice.
Yes. I'll be doing him proud because he wouldn't want me to suffer.
Yeah.
So therefore I won't suffer.
Yeah.
But you are suffering.
Exactly.
So hard.
And I think through that was, this reckless life that I started to lead, where, yes, I've always kind of chased dopamine and enjoyed the reckless kind of, pursuits, I guess, of life. But I really went, I was saying to somebody the other day, I would tell my boyfriend, my mum's meeting me at the end of the road, she's going to pick me up and take me home. I'd tell my mum my boyfriend's walking me home. And then I would deliberately not walk on the street where there's lighting. I would go through the back alleys.
Wow.
And just put myself in danger.
Yeah.
And I think I was trying somehow to feel alive.
Or were you punishing yourself?
Also that. And I think it was a bit of a rebellion against death as well. Like, I can be invincible. You can't take any more from me. It was like, I'm going to throw myself right in there. Like, I was angry with death.
Yeah.
So I put myself in situations which confronted it over and over again. And people called me crazy. They would say, "You're crazy. You're not like other girls." I don't know whether I had to genderize it, but
yeah. I love that. Crazy is always associated with girls as well for some reason.
Yeah, but you're crazy. You're wild. Like trying to put the reins on me. And I can actually see why sometimes. But
But you weren't. You were escaping. You were in pain,
exactly.
and you were punishing.
Yeah, all of that, and that was not seen by myself.
No,
and wasn't seen by others. So I was getting told off a lot. You know, my mum would be exasperated with me. So I really, the distance between me and my pain was just, the gap was widening over and over and over again.
If you look back at that time, because if you look at Richard Schwartz's theories around IFS, it's all about the internal parts. What part would you call her, that version of you?
The armoured up part.
Yeah. How would you describe her if she was a character in a story?
Like, I want to say like Wonder Woman, but it's darker than that.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't really a superpower. It was, I don't really know, but it probably has more colour than a name. And it's a very sort of, it's like metal. It's very prickly. It really is keeping people out.
Yeah.
And keeping myself out. So I probably would use something like The Cage.
Yes.
Something like that as a name.
Yeah. That's powerful, isn't it? To be able to just go, that's the cage. It's the walls that I've built around me.
Yeah.
And if you try and climb over, you're going to get cut to pieces. So just back off.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly that.
And that, but that is punishment because no one gets in. You don't get, going back to the intimacy and closeness, you're an alien in your own life.
Yeah.
And everyone else sees you, probably at the time, thinks you're just a bit crazy. Oh, that's just Emma. And and even you aren't really seeing the pain anymore because the walls have convinced you that that's what you are. I am the cage. Yeah.
It felt over, like the grief's finished. This is who I am and what I am, and this is how I'm living my life. And I think I don't underestimate the choice of this career as my pathway back. I mean, to myself.
Hello.
It was the only way I could do it. Was like in the most roundabout way.
Yeah, I hear you.
Go directly to it. I've even been in therapy, and I have said, like, I've had trauma therapy, and I've told the therapist that what they did has completely worked, just so I can get out of the therapy.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, just because it's not working. I'm so guarded. I'm so far away. Or the method isn't quite, what I needed. But this career was definitely something calling me back to myself somehow.
Yes. And I think what it is for a lot of people that have become so dissociated from themselves, if they can see the pain in others, it turns on that light switch again. Yeah. However briefly. But then you have, I know that I still do this, and I'm listening to you going, gosh, such an amazing person. But then, as I said at the beginning, there's so many synchronicities between us. So then I'm going, well, it's the reflection back of self. Yeah. So actually, since being a therapist, and particularly the last 10 years, I think, because the first 10 years are all a bit like, what am I doing? Am I doing this right? You know what it's like. Yeah. But I would say that I really like myself, and I really love myself. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. There are parts of myself that need a lot of work. Yeah. Just putting it out there. There's still some bits that I've got to work out. And that's a good thing, because it hopefully means I've got a bit of life ahead of me to find those bits and sort them out a little bit. But overall, I think as a core self, I see the bigger picture, and I could never have been bad, as you couldn't. It's impossible, because we're a reflection of something much more powerful, and go back to the energy, the higher energy, whatever you want to call that. So there's never been anything wrong with you, ever. And so I think when you can love the essence of the human experience, and I think that's what being a doctor or a therapist or both allows you to see. It's like, there's so much connection between us all. Yeah. And I love the person that you are, so therefore I must love me. Yeah. And I think that's what happens.
Absolutely. And I think in being with people in their trauma and their pain, that I could feel, I wouldn't necessarily be linking it directly to mine, but I could feel it and understand it. Yeah. But that was a safe way to be in the presence of emotion, and I could feel safely because it's about you.
Correct.
And not about me.
And you're now connecting to the heart Heart-mind coherence is happening
Yeah.
there, which
Yeah.
allows you to have that connection to self again, doesn't it?
Exactly.
It's all linked because, of course, the understanding that I feel connected to you and the understanding that I feel something for you
Yeah.
allows me to understand that it's coming from me.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's in me.
Yeah.
Therefore, that's my body.
Yeah.
That's my soul.
Yeah.
It's a very, I mean, I'm not articulating brilliantly, but
You are.
thank you very much. I feel like I'm sort of warbling, but you know what I mean? It's that moment of that's what that is. We're magnets.
Yeah.
And so if I'm magnetizing with you, then I'm magnetizing with me. And
Yeah.
what is that all about on a higher level?
Yeah.
That's where I think, we are all, and that's why I say I don't believe in good or bad. If I go back to some of the sort of older philosophies, I don't see good or bad or light and dark. I like the words because it enables us to express something, but I see that everything that happens, as however painful it is, and I don't know where you're at with this, be it my experience or your experience, it was part of the cycle breaking. It was part of the elevation of the ancestral energy.
Yeah.
It was part of the elevation of the collective energy.
Yeah.
And if you trust that, however painful it is, it therefore can't be bad.
Yeah.
Does that resonate with you?
It does. And, I look back over the last few years, and certainly since I qualified, my first job was chronic pain. And in that interview, they liked me and they said, we've actually got another job, because the chronic pain was part-time and this other job was in cardiothoracic hospital.
Wow.
And so they didn't interview me. So I never went to the hospital for an interview. So I never knew the hospital. So my first day I walk in and the smell of the hospital took me right back, because the smell of a cardiothoracic hospital was exactly as I remembered my dad's.
Of course.
And I, that let it in.
Yeah.
So my first day qualified in this job also opened the door to me working with other people, families, children who were losing their mum, their dad, their family member potentially. So I was just in the thick of...
There's the mirror.
Yeah, right there. And I didn't seek that job. It just landed. I went for a chronic pain job. So from then I started to think, okay, Dad, you're asking me to
I'm hearing.
You're here guiding some of this. And I let that in because also I would never let anything mystical in, anything. I was very sort of no, because he'd be here. If there was such a thing, then I'd feel him. So I couldn't let anything like that exist. So that was the first time of me letting an idea about energy and that kind of side of things into my life. But yeah, I also remember that incredibly vividly and viscerally that day.
And I think where you say that, just I've said it before, but I'm aware that there's often people listening that haven't heard me before, so I'll say it again. When you go to Einstein's theory about energy and the fact that it just redistributes, so if energy always redistributes and it never sort of stops, then and everything's a magnet, in that energy is magnetic, then it's quite possible that although the physical body becomes part of an ecosystem and the earth and all of those things, that the energy just circulates where it needs to be because everything's a magnet. And I think that our first 7 years before the formation of the prefrontal cortex, it's where we set our magnet. And so therefore we attract the universal, the energy, the magnetic energy, which is the redistribution of various energies, collective energies, is attracted to what we need to do to be able to, if we're cycle breakers, which so many people are of this generation. I find the 1970s, 1980s lot to be very, very clearly cycle breakers. And that suggests that there's a timing. And then if you look at the codes, I mean, I know that there's also, when I say this, people are going to go, yeah, but that's just because once it's in your head, you always see it. But I always see numbers. I don't know about you, but just today, actually, I always call it out because we're doing a podcast. I didn't go 16, because I thought people would just go, what is wrong with her? But if I see a double number, I call it out. And I always log them every single day. I remember every single one of them. And I started to see triple numbers more recently. It was always doubles before. My daughter is 1010. She was born on the 10th of the 10th. And I always see 1111. And I started to be interested in numerology because I had lots of people were saying it. And at first I was very much like you. dismissive. No one knows what they're talking about. You're all nuts. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Reiki. I used to do the same with Reiki. It's all load rubbish, not interested, don't want to know. And then as you get a bit more mature and a bit more open-minded, and you start to read more and listen more and then understand that if you look at the universe and the world, everything's built on codes. Even things like, sorry to go off on one, but even things like the number 7.
Yeah.
So if you think about the 7 deadly sins, the 7 wonders of the world, the 7 days of the week, everything's in 7s.
Yeah.
And so there's a rhythm to that. And then if you go deeper into it, and epigenetic codes, numbers, codes, if you look at, most science, it's on codes and numbers. And then you go, okay, so if the universe works on numbers, maybe there's something in it. So when I always see double numbers, I'm also aware that if you say red car to someone, they're going to see loads of red cars because it's that subconscious thing. But it's to the point of ridiculous now. So I want to say to people that if you're not somebody that believes in energies, or there's often a science behind it that you haven't looked into yet. Yeah. And when people go, but, that's only like 5 studies that have been done on that. We need another 20 studies to disprove it. That's the same with everything. Yeah. Nothing's a fact because everything can be disproved.
Exactly. No one truth.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so for those people that are struggling to find that ability to open up to another field of thinking, I would say bear that in mind when you shut it down, because I've shut it down, you've shut it down, we've both been there, and I think we're much more open to the reality of things now. Yeah. So your first experience is this cardiothoracic experience, and realising that maybe your dad is guiding you. And then were there other things along the way that just made you think, there's something to this?
So much. So one that really stands out, and this one does sometimes make me cry. Went to Canada for the first time since I'd left. So 32 years later, I hadn't been back. I know, that's how armoured up I was. I didn't even go to my home. I know, I travelled the world. I went everywhere but Canada.
Wow.
So I go with my kids, and we go to see my dad's grave, and I couldn't find it. And my kids and my husband looking everywhere for this grave. Like, everyone's like, oh God, we've got to find the grave. And then my son found it. And he was really sweet. Actually, he was probably only about 6 or 7. And he just dusted it off because obviously no one was there to clean it. My half-sister would go occasionally, dusted it off. And they stayed with me, and then they left me alone. And I just had this like deep sinking feeling, like, how can I leave you again? Like, it's taken me this long to come and see you.
Oh, wow.
And so I asked him, I said, like, how can I leave you? How do I know when to leave you? And a dragonfly came over. And my dad was a photographer, amongst many other things, but he used to have in our, I guess it's like a boot room, like these, they're chrysalists, aren't they? Of dragonflies and butterflies. Yeah. And because he would take photographs of them like emerging from their chrysalis. And I always remember the dragonflies, because I'd sometimes go into this boot room and they're like flying around everywhere. It was really magical. So the dragonfly is my symbol of my dad. So when this dragonfly came over, and I went, and it kind of looked at me, and then it flew off towards my family and went, Dad, was that you? And it came back. And then it flew off towards my family. I was like, okay, you're telling me I can go. So I'll, like, no one can take that away from me. I don't care how people explain that.
No, you're right.
That was, for me, just, and I know that was him in his way there.
I totally believe you with that. Yeah. I mean, I'm obsessed with butterflies because of the metamorphosis, and because of that's how life is. And it's such a symbol for us all. And so the fact that was your dad's fascination, it says a lot about him, actually. Yeah. Doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Like, he obviously really tapped into that idea as well, for whatever reason. Yeah. And I find that so beautiful because, you're not the first person to tell me something like that. In fact, I've been told these sorts of things so many times. And I struggle with this because I believe in it so much and I feel so much, but I don't have many experiences like that of my own. Yeah. So I don't know if there's a reason for that, because I feel like I'm really open for it. I'm like, can somebody please send me my moment? There's a few things, but I don't know if I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to be in awe of the story
Yeah,
rather than have the
yeah.
experience. I don't know what that's about, but I
Yeah.
firmly believe in it, because I think there's too many times that I've heard stories like that for it just to be a coincidence.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful. Did it give you a different way of thinking? Did it give you
Yeah.
hope?
It like I took him with me,
Yeah.
and he was always with me, but some of the armor came down.
Yeah.
And there was a real comfort in that. And I think I started to feel more again, certainly being back in Canada, certainly being by his grave, but that he could almost physically be there. And so whenever I see a dragonfly now, it's, that's my dad, and there's lots of dragonflies in our garden. So that's very comforting as well. But it was not long after that we had lockdown, and that I created Divergent Life. I created everything. I started to see myself, and I started to see others in different ways. I really think these walls came down. I often call it a positive disintegration.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so I was disintegrating in a messy way.
Yeah.
But ultimately it was positive, because the trauma was kind of leaving me, but I was coming home to myself.
Yes.
And in that I could be more creative. In that I started to separate from all the things that I'd attached to keep me alive psychologically and in a kind of survival response. But I started to let them go. Yeah. And really feel like I am coming back into myself so much more. I'm not there yet.
No.
But I'm certainly on the way.
Yeah. Well, you're where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
And whatever this part of your experience is right now, it is genuinely very beautiful. And I know I kept saying this at the beginning before we recorded and when we started.
Yeah.
But there's something really, I think it's the acceptance of self, although you might not be fully there yet.
Yeah.
Because to accept yourself isn't always to be like fully in love with yourself.
No. Yeah.
It's to accept yourself, flaws and all.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're radiating, and it allows other people to accept themselves as well.
Yeah.
But I think also, going back to some of the work that you're doing, you kind of have to do that to be authentically fighting the good fight for everybody else. I don't think you can do that unless you're in self-acceptance mode.
Yeah.
And do you still, if you don't mind me asking, because I know this is difficult, do you still feel a level, because you said that little girl is still there, do you still, as you sit here telling the story, feel I'm telling this story and it's really, really good, but actually, just so you know, guys, I still blame myself for what happened? Is that still there?
She has that voice. I don't think she'll ever not have that voice. And I respect it, because it's not bringing me down, and it's not bringing her down.
Yeah.
I think she needs to feel that because of the relationship.
Yeah.
Like, how do I explain it? To not have that question, could I have done more? Was this my responsibility? That speaks of the depth of my love for my dad.
Yes, it does.
So I'm not getting rid of that. I'm not going to try and argue with that, but I can hold it with compassion. I can hold it with love.
Yeah.
And as an adult, looking at my children of a similar age, would not want them to be thinking like that about themselves in that capacity. So I can relate to it in that way, that you didn't deserve to feel like that about yourself. So
but also I suppose it gives you the ability to, if anything comes up in their lives where they go through some sort of self-blame, when it's clear, you now have like a real life lesson that you can relate to them on. Again, you wouldn't make it about you, but you would be able to relate to their pain in a way that a lot of people will never be able to relate. So, I mean, most people can relate, but the way you think about it and the way you view it enables you to be able to use it with your children, but with other people as well. This is what you were saying about the work.
Yeah, and we can see, can't we, when people are in their survival responses, they're getting rewarded for being independent and self-reliant and all these like admired ways of being in the world. But we also know that that's part of the trauma.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we can see that, can't we? We can see the vulnerability behind that.
Do you know, it reminds me of a few years ago, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a black lady, and I remember her saying to me that she hates it when people refer to her as a strong black woman. And I understood it, but I didn't fully, and I still will never fully understand it, obviously, but I didn't fully understand it. I still was left with a, but okay, surely that's a compliment, right? Because you are.
Yeah.
And I love that about her. But now I get it. Like,
Yeah.
don't keep telling me I'm strong. I didn't choose to have to be strong. I didn't choose to have to be this person that you see in front of you. I've been made to be that person because life has been very, very difficult for her.
Yeah.
And at times, and she felt left out, and she felt like the odd one out. She felt she wasn't seen, and she felt she was judged, and all these things. And so I then go, oh, of course, no one wants to have to be strong. And when people, and I've said this many times now, but I remember when the stuff about me came out with my dad and all of the sexual abuse, and what would happen was people would go, you're a survivor.
Yeah.
You're a survivor. And I was like, hang on a minute. I haven't even had a chance to be a victim yet.
Yeah.
And I knew that even then.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why we go from pain to survivor straight away. You're strong, you're resilient, you're this, you're that, you're amazing. I don't feel it. I feel angry. I feel full of rage. I feel disgusting. I feel disgusted. I feel sad. I feel lonely. I want to be the bloody victim. And if you skip that bit, which so many people do in whatever, story that they've got, you then have this, like you say, this gap between self and the cage or the armor or the protector part that is developed. And so you experience complete dissociation.
Yeah.
And as you refer to really beautifully earlier, not letting anyone in, to be honest, I'm not sure I would have let anyone in, but I don't know if that's because there wasn't the space for me to let anyone in. I mean, of course, everybody in my family system would have been going through their own pain at that point. So they couldn't have been there for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't want strangers there for me. And that, to be honest, that wasn't offered because the services just weren't there. But nobody knew how to be there for me. So I then did exactly what you did, whilst constantly being told you're a survivor. Yeah. So looking back at that time, I completely understand why that lady said that to me. She don't like being called a strong black woman. Yeah. Like, stop putting those two words together. It's not a choice, and it shouldn't be celebrated the way it is. Now, I'm not saying everybody would agree with that, but what I'm saying is that makes so much more sense when I work with lots of different people that are going through lots of different problems, that are sick and tired of having to be strong. Like the mums that are fighting for their kids. Like the women that are sick of being told they're strong when all they want to do is be held. All these things that we've got to change that. Stop using strong as a positive. Ask the question, because sometimes telling someone that they're strong, what they're thinking underneath is fuck you. That's the truth of it, isn't it?
It is.
Just fuck off.
It is. And Ella, that's, partly when you reached out to me and you were kind of describing my energy, and I was going into my freeze response, because compliments are difficult for me. And I said to you, thank you for seeing me, because you saw me, you saw that energy. So you saw that vulnerability, you saw more than the armor, more than, whatever else I'm kind of, the words I use to describe things. I think you saw something in me.
I did.
Which is my trauma and,
But also the dragonfly or the butterfly. I saw that. I think it's because I always think of the butterfly as the thing. The butterfly is beautiful, but the butterfly has gone through lots of different, being trapped in that chrysalis, or the dragonfly being trapped in the chrysalis. I'm pretty sure that ain't a comfortable place to be. So I always see the I don't know if I'd like that. I've got a bit of a problem with confined spaces, so I'm not sure I'd be comfortable, but they come out so beautiful, don't they? And I think that's what I saw. So for you, because you've told me that amazing story about the dragonfly, I saw that. And I saw that you don't get to be that beautiful unless you've gone through something profoundly painful. And I admire that you're using your voice and you're using your energy. But I also know that it's so important that people see. It's not easy. When you see this on Instagram all the time now, where people go, well, you're looking at the end result, but you haven't seen the journey. And so when you see someone well presented and happy and content, and by the way, I'm not saying that people haven't reached happiness and can, if they've got clinical depression, or if they've got really sort of profound mental health issues. I'm not saying they haven't done the work to try and get better, by the way. Because there are a lot of people with a lot of trauma that cannot achieve yet happiness and contentment. They're going through so much on a nervous system response level, and they're going through so much in their own minds, and there's so many layers to a lot of people's pain. So I hope that's understood when I say that when I see the butterfly, I see the person that's done the work. Because I see the people that are not quite out of the chrysalis as doing the work.
Exactly.
And but I just saw that in you, and I just think, you know, as I said before, if ever you see Emma as Divergent Lives at Divergent Lives on comments, she's so gorgeous to everybody. And also when I look at your comments, I see how much people love you. Because they don't just go, oh, Emma, thank you very much. They go, oh, you know, thank you so much, lovely Emma. You know, people really love you. And I don't know if you let that in because of the armour is probably still there, but I can see that. I'm a curious cat. Some might say nosy. So I look through comments and go, oh, everybody loves her. She's so lovable.
And I think the 12-year-old me wants to just bat that away.
Yeah.
It's, you know, there is a reaction.
Yeah.
You know, I think naturally I do feel awkward around compliments just as me, but there is also that part that just goes to push it away, and to be seen is a big risk and a big vulnerability.
It feels exposing.
It really does.
It doesn't feel like being seen. It feels like exposure.
Yeah.
There's a difference, isn't there?
Yeah.
Because being seen wasn't taught you in a way that was comfortable.
Yeah.
So actually being seen is being caught out.
Exactly. But then, like you say, when, you know, I like to give that good energy and then I'm receiving it back, and that feels safe because it's just slowly building up and it's not quite as exposing. But, you know, I feel that. I do let that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Albeit through the freeze response.
Yeah, like via Instagram on my mobile phone.
Yeah, when nobody can see you, where you go, bleh, bleh, bleh. I need to get rid of this now. I know, I used to feel like that with compliments. I don't anymore. Yeah. I welcome them. In fact, I manipulate them. I'll tell people my age on purpose to get a compliment. I'm all for compliments. Keep bringing them. I don't care. I'm well in that era. I've done the self-hatred. That chapter's finished. New book, new title. Give me all the compliments. By the time you leave, you're going to be there. I told you I'm going to get you the t-shirt.
Yeah.
She'll leave here, right? Everyone knows she'll be like, I'm never going back to that woman again. She's horrendous. Forcing me to take all these compliments. No, I'm so in that era. I don't care. I'm sending this out to the universe.
Do it.
Keep dishing them out. Because women, you know, we're quite magical. I don't know if you know this.
Yes, we are.
And so many women that I know just absolutely cannot take a compliment. Like, come over to the bright side.
Yeah.
Honestly, once you break through that shell, it's so much better on the other side. Because I feel like I'm running out of time as well. I know that sounds really macabre, but I don't know if when I'm 70, let's say if I'm blessed to get there, I don't know if people are going to still pour the compliments on me. Yeah. That's why I'm going for the Dolly Parton thing. Because, you know, even if it's like, wow, you look like a cartoon character, you know, that's fine too. Yeah. I'm more than happy for that. But yeah, I feel like it's a shame that people aren't in that zone of accepting compliments. It's great fun, you know. Yeah. It's great to do that. It suddenly, once you get to that point, and it's not about narcissistic ego or anything, it's fun. It's so much fun.
I get that, and I'm working towards it. I mean, I'm wearing my leopard
jeans,
and I'm wearing things
your
like
heels.
Red. Yeah, my heels. So, you know, I've taken my joggers off and I'm dressing up a little bit, and I'm inviting it in. Yeah, and
and you're in front of a beautiful pink tree.
I know.
Like, it's all set up.
Couldn't get any better.
I tell you, this for your outfit, this set is doing it. You've got your leopard and your purple velvet and your pink flowers. It's working. Yeah. I did this sort of really in your face approach. I know it's not as in your face as it could be. Like if I did it again, it would be even more. But I try to be classy, but really classy and me don't go together. I'm a little bit bright and in your face.
I love it.
So I like this because it really pops. And when people come, you can see on when the edit's done, it pops. Yeah. And I feel like it should. Yeah. We should all pop out, shouldn't we?
We should.
Yeah, like a little Jack in the Box. Pop out, da-da, I'm here. And honestly, I tell you, Emma, like, from the minute you walked through the door, I saw your little face at the door, and like, you're so pretty and so cute and so gorgeous. And then we sat and talked for a bit, and then we've obviously done such a really, I think a beautiful episode, because you've been really vulnerable, but you've also been that soldier, that warrior, and we've seen both sides to you. I guess what I would say now as a closing moment, I kind of asked it before, but if there are people listening that are still in the depths of their pain, that are maybe putting the walls up, they've put the cage around themselves, and they maybe think, well, I don't think I'll ever get there. Do you have any words of wisdom for those people that are stuck in their pain right now?
That's a really tough one.
I know, I'm sorry. I'll do it to so many people. I don't know why I keep doing this. Put you on the spot.
I think I'll just have to go with what I'm telling myself, and it might reach some people and it might not. And it's what I'm allowing in is to grow full size.
Yeah.
I'm telling myself that it's okay. And full size can be all the emotion that I've got. It can be the messiness that I am. It can be my Labrador energy. I don't have to contort and conform to be accepted. And so, that is part of my trauma, but that's part of who I am as a person. And so, for me, it is grow full size, wear the gold boots.
Yeah.
Do the Dolly Parton.
Yes.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Grow full size.
Yeah. And you're on the route, and I think we all are, and I think that the more space we take up with the positive energy, and not toxic positive because it can go too far that way, but the positive energy, the bright lights, I think the further we go with that, and the further we realise that that's okay, even with trauma, you don't have to stay there. You can grow all the different parts, like a beautiful garden. You can grow as many different types of flowers as you want. Collectively, it will be a beautiful garden. And I think that's what you are, really. With lots of dragonflies.
Yes, and butterflies.
And honestly, I can't thank you enough for doing this, because I know it was the first time that you've really gone into the full story. And I'm hoping that you get asked to do more of the same, because other people will ask different questions. Other people will see different facets of you. I'm hoping, in fact, I've got a few people that I'd like to connect you with after this, if you're willing to be connected. You probably already know who they are, but I think you'd be a really, really nice guest for them as well. Because I think people need to see you. They need to hear you, because you are a brilliant human.
Thank you so much. And you've given me a gift by seeing me and appreciating that side of me and wanting to get to know that side of me as well.
Yes.
Like, that meant a lot to me. It really meant a lot to me. So thank you.
Well,
no, I really will cry.
I know. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to. I see the eyes watering. I know. It's so important though. I feel like we've got such a limited time here, going back to your story, that let's fill it with all the good people. And if you see something in someone, tell them. Yeah. In fact, my stories today are all about that on my Instagram, about if you see something good in someone, tell them. Yeah. Really be part of that. It's so beautiful. It's great to take the compliments. Yeah. Like I said, keep them coming in. Don't hold back. But it's also great to give them.
It is.
It's great to give them. It's great to show someone a part of themselves, like, I can see you and others, just like you see others. And it's such a gift to see it in others. It is. Life is so much more beautiful that way. There's a lot of doom and gloom out there. And I, for one, I see it. I know it's there. I'm not denying it's there, but I also see the pretty gardens. Yeah. And I want to explore them. Yeah. You know, and I think lots of people need to have more of you. Yeah. So, Dr. Emma Offord, it's been a great episode and a real privilege and a real pleasure. So thank you for taking your time, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.